So, welcome to another edition of Table Talk. I am Dr. Joy Brown, the CEO of 3E Consultant, and welcome to an exciting episode of Table Talk, where real conversation meets real career journeys. And tonight we are talking about in between career seasons, navigating the uncertainty. And we are going to have an honest conversation of how we navigate this in between season. And so tonight centers on helping job seekers and professionals who are in this transition, who are either underemployed or unemployed, remain stable in these roles. Are they preparing for their next? So I'm excited to get this conversation going with our dynamic panelists. And so, Simone, introduce yourself.
Right. So thank you, Dr. Joy. I'm excited to be back. My name is Simone Pemberton. I am the founder and career strategist behind ProWorks Career Services, and I'm a certified coach and one of the FTZ partners. So excited to be here again.
All right. Our other dynamic panelist, Shamisha, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Dr. Joyce. Samisha Thomas here, strategic HR consultant for implementation for public sector, local and state government. Also excited to be here to talk about the ways in which you can use your talents to navigate a career, and excited to be part of this conversation about how we help people figure out how to navigate well in the middle.
All right, so ladies, let's get this conversation started. So ladies, let's have just an honest conversation. Why do we think this in-between time is such a challenge for just the clients we work with or even job seekers?
Well, I mean, I guess I would start off and
Okay.
say this in between or in the middle is really it's important because everybody will have an evolution in their career. I'll
Mhm.
just use myself as an example. I started off as an educator. I was a teacher for a little while, became a social worker, went from being a social worker to being a human resources professional in the federal government, and went from that to doing HR, IT systems and system implementation as a program manager. And with each evolution of that career, I was always taking knowledge, skills, and ability from one area and moving it on to the next. I absolutely used every single social work skill I had to be an HR director. I have to tell you,
Mhm.
employees really needed some of that help. I also was teaching learning and management development. I'm still always doing that. But I think as we go through this evolution, there's some fear,
Mhm.
there's some uncertainty, and then helping people figure out how to take that fear and uncertainty and turn it into something positive.
Oh no, I think that's excellent. So one of the
I
things you said, I
definitely
love it how
agree.
you talked about, as you look at the evolution of your own career, how you able to teach and use all your skills, your knowledge, skills, and abilities. I call them your superpowers, and apply them to everything. But I think now is, a time where it's a lot of people that had to again leave jobs, and we know that last year we had a record number of people who left the federal government. They took the what we call the fork in the road, the resignation program. They knew they were retired, but maybe they retired early. And so now it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because again, they may not have, they knew they were going to retire in the next couple of years, but they left early. And so you definitely, and I like how you talked about like you have this fear, or not even like, oh my gosh, or even a plan. Because sometimes, like you said, your plan, you knew you were going to like retire the next 2 years, but that your plan was implemented and earlier
It
than
was accelerated.
anticipated.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
accelerated.
it accelerated
Yeah.
your plan, and now you're like, oh, what am I going to do? And so it
And
is
finding
in
a
this
good
in
pivot.
between. Hmm.
Yeah, find a good pivot. What's the pivot that you need to make? I think oftentimes people are really intimidated about reinventing themselves or reimagining what they can
Hmm.
do. We all have a lot of skills,
Hmm.
that we have to just tap into. And sometimes you have to sit still and be quiet. I'm a fan of ChatGPT. I tell people all the time, go on ChatGPT and ask some questions. I learned that from some young people. They chatting with ChatGPT and it just gives them, it's just
Hmm.
something to bounce ideas off of if you
Hmm.
don't have someone to do it. But reinventing yourself and figure out what's that skill that you have or reusing a
Hmm.
skill in another way, particularly for folks maybe in IT or
Hmm.
HR or
Hmm.
finance. Maybe you understand processes really well.
Hmm.
Well, in the IT world, we need process engineers, somebody to do a flow chart to say we go step one,
Hmm.
step two, step three, or maybe
Hmm.
you know something really well and you can go and do compliance work.
Hmm.
There's lots of people in the healthcare field. Healthcare field they always need people. So
Always
maybe
need.
you were in finance, but now you can go into healthcare finance.
Hmm.
Just trying to reinvent yourselves. I think it's really important. And then going to look for free education. You got Coursera out
Yes.
there. You have free training. I know Google does free
Google, I
training.
will say Google
Microsoft does
LinkedIn
free
certificates.
Learning.
training. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of places that will do free training.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are over a certain age, I don't remember what it is, but community colleges are free to take classes. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's over 65, maybe. I have to double check that. But over a certain age in the state of Maryland, I know you can take free classes at community colleges.
Oh no, I love that. Simone?
I love, well, Dr. Joyce heard me talk about the Coursera. So,
Right.
Samisha, I was like, Coursera, LinkedIn, all the upskilling, the
Yes.
reskilling. That's my favorite thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that came to my mind when you were talking, though, is because, we're always talking about reinventing ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard to do, right? And, before we hopped on this call, I was talking about a client that I have. Sometimes we have to take a job, right? It may not be the job we want. It may not
Mm-hmm.
pay the job, the
Mm-hmm.
salary that we would like. It's not as strategic as we would like it to be. It's not remote, right? It's not the ideal situation. And I think people are struggling with that, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have you have your goal, what you really would like to do, what you really would like to have, and it's hard to get it right now, right? Everybody's fighting for those remote jobs. And so, I was listening to this audiobook and it was talking about good enough for now and
Mm-hmm.
how some people may feel stuck like, oh, I'm not growing, I'm not doing this, I'm not getting the promotions. But sometimes you just have to be content with good enough for now. It pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take some stress away. It may
Mm-hmm.
give or gives you the benefits that you need to support your family, whatever it is. And like just trying to find peace within that and
Mm-hmm.
having patience with the process, especially while the market is so challenging and may
Mm-hmm.
continue to be challenging for a while. And I have a client who is in kind of a situation like that. And I mean, she's in a great role, but she doesn't see the ability to grow.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of capped out because, there's only a few slots, senior slots.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are sitting there, they're not going anywhere, and telling her, like, I was like, hey, if you have skills you want to build, here we go, going back to the skills, right? Or you want to build these skills so that you can apply and be more marketable and
Mm-hmm.
get those bigger roles. I was like, find some opportunities where you see a problem at your organization,
Mm-hmm.
propose a
Absolutely.
Yep.
solution,
Suppose a
pitch it
solution.
to senior leadership.
Yep.
They love that, right? Like
And create
everybody
your own
loves,
project.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
create your own
True.
project,
Mm-hmm.
create, and so she's working on, she's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And she's already figured out something that she's going to do. And I think we just have to be to creating, taking our situation, like kind of molding it to be how we want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
as best as we can, right? So I think that's something like, hey, we need a job, we get a job. It's not that this is temporary, right? It's not like we have
Yep.
to stay in the same job for
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years. Like maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
year, maybe it's 2 years, but at least it gives us a way to support ourselves and then work towards those goals. So I think kind of being patient with the process and then finding those little ways, right, that
Mm-hmm.
we can make it our own and get what we need and be selfish about our career, right? And be
Mm-hmm.
strategic. So I just thought
You,
about that while you were talking.
yes,
I
Mark,
was.
you raised something really crucial that I think is finding things to do with yourself
Mm-hmm.
that may be non-traditional. I know if you go on LinkedIn, there is an ability for you to be able to become an expert and give advice. They'll actually pay you for it. There's some places like that. Because I've done that, a couple of organizations are looking for an expert. They'll call you, you can make an hourly rate, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll like an expert. If you go on LinkedIn, keep your LinkedIn profiles up to date.
I'm about to say
Recruiters come
yes.
look for you. They
Mm-hmm.
come get. But the other thing is, I had a young lady I was working with, and she took the DRP. It was earlier than she expected. And I encouraged her to look at her community for something to do. In the
Mm-hmm.
community she lived in, she actually in an area in PG County, she got on the commission board. She decided to go and put her name in the hat. Now she's an alternative for some public safety commission. She never thought about it. I said, there are things in your community that you can do. I mean, like I, for example, am on the school board in the county that I live in. I ran for office and I did it. But in our county, we have a women's commission, we have a public safety commission.
Mm-hmm.
Go for things to do in your community. You learn so many things about influencing local politics. all of those skills, again, come full circle when you need to use those or leverage those within an organization. And so those boards, those committees, those things in your community, they are also a segue into you getting into local politics or local government jobs as well. She did that, and then she ended up getting another position.
Oh, no,
That's
that's great.
awesome.
In addition
Yeah.
to what you said with the community, also your nonprofits. So again,
Yes.
one thing about the federal government, experience is experience. And when I say when I'm hiring a whole person. I always say that is because not only I'm hiring you for your expertise, but sometimes you learn, if you're like me, you learn other skills by stuff that you were involved in, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so utilizing, your nonprofits, because again, you could be doing budgeting on your nonprofit. You could be working on a program and have your project management skills because you're planning, implementing, and evaluating, putting on events, large scale events that you've done for a nonprofit or even your community organization. That's what your transferable skills. So even in this in between time, and I love it when Simone, you had talked about, what did you say is good right now?
Yeah,
Um,
good enough for now.
Good
Yep.
enough for now. That's the point. Everybody put in the chat, good enough for now. Because I think that it has to be good enough for now. Because I always said, even though when people were taking the DRP, I wanted to do something like how to really work a DRP. Like again, you got your whole check while you were still on the road. You should have been again banking that and still trying to figure out something else, like you said, and that would have been adding income. So when we
Mhm.
talk about good enough for now, it is looking at those opportunities. And like you said, this is temporary. While you're still able to do your work and make impact, whatever that looks like, using your transferable skills. And I think that's where we talk about that reinventing yourself. What are your transferable skills? But I know a lot of clients, they struggle with that. What are you good at? Quiet.
Mhm.
We trying to figure
Mhm.
that out. That's why they see one of us as career coaches to kind of help them really tap into what are you good at, your transferable skills, and how do you apply them to different industries. That's
Yeah.
the
So,
key.
so Dr. Joy, let's tease that out a little bit
Okay.
because I do. I mean, I just had a conversation with a young person. I said, "What are you good at?" And he was like, "I don't know." I was like, "What do you mean?" And so then we had this conversation. I said, "Well, you know how to advocate really well, and you're a good debater.
Mhm.
So do you think those skills?" So I think helping people identify what they're good at, and I think not only is it always an actual skill, but sometimes it's something that you do well. I think
Mm.
being curious and being inquisitive is a skill.
Yes, I
Mm.
believe
Um,
so too. I
I,
agree.
I just had a client that I'm working with, and I have not worked in this particular industry in depth, but I'm
Mhm.
talking to this client, and I sat and I just wanted to be a fly on the wall in a finance and budget meeting in a completely different industry. In that one meeting, I learned so much about the finance
Mhm.
industry, revenue generation for airports,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Not something, but think about the understanding that I have in budget in other places. I learned a lot that helped me be strategic and about helping them do something else. And
Mhm.
so being inquisitive, showing up to a meeting, there are tons of associations, particularly in the Washington, D.C. area. You have
Mhm.
contracting associations, you have
Mhm.
the ACA association, if you've done anything in government, you got HR associations, finance associations,
Mhm.
accounting organizations. Go to one of their meetings, listen to what they're talking about. If you find places to be inquisitive, it may spark an idea.
Mhm.
It may spark something that you can get involved in. And so I would highly encourage people to join some of those associations in the area. There's one for women in public service. Go
Mhm.
join women in public service. They will have meetings. They're free most of the time. You can just go down and listen. You can network and you can listen, be inquisitive, and I'm certain you'll find something that you can do.
No, I love that. I think I love that idea because, like you said, it's in between. I think the networking is key. So I love it how you said get involved. But like you said, get involved with some of these organizations because you got to network. I think
Yep.
in
Mhm.
this in between time, networking needs to be a key. And that needs to be now a
Absolutely.
new skill that you need to do. And don't be like, I was talking to one client, it was like, well, I don't really have a network. I said, let's play that back. Let's talk
Yeah.
about what this network is. And I
Mhm.
said, you have to think about not only do who you know, but who knows them through
Right.
you. But again, so let's, because you do know people from your school, because this person was still in school working on their master. So from your colleagues, and you are already working. So that is your
Mhm.
network. And
Right.
so it is understanding who your network, but sometimes to get into another organization or even talking to other people, you got to what? I said you got to get out your comfort zone. So you got to meet people. Well, I'm an introvert. Oh, okay. We got to use extroverted skills though right now.
Yeah.
So let's
And
Fake
I
practice
it,
our
think
little
fake it.
elevator
Okay.
pitch, right?
I have
Let's
to do it.
practice and then we
I have
will
to
be
do it.
ready. But No, no, no. So, and I love that idea. Is like you said, talk about what do you like to do and stuff. And I love how you would point out you like to advocate for yourself. You're very inquisitive. You know how to ask good questions because sometimes you are thinking of things that other people may not have thought about, and they'd be like, "You answer really good questions," and that may help you get on a project.
Yep, absolutely. Be the first to ask a question. I was just in a meeting, I was the first to ask a question. They gave gift cards away. They were like, first person to ask a question got a gift card. I was like, oh, look at you. And I was just in it for a whole different reason. So
Right.
I do believe that challenging people to be self-aware and do some
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery is critically important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all, I don't know about you all, but I have conversations with myself like, what you gonna do now? Okay, which direction you going?
Right.
If you really try to look at life like a chessboard,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to visualize the moves, or just visualize kind of your next steps, see
Mm-hmm.
those next steps, figure out where you need to go, have conversations with people. And the one thing that I would like to really put out there for people in the middle is don't be afraid to just ask someone, can
Mm-hmm.
you help me? Do you know of a job?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are more people out here than you believe will be willing to share information or
Mm-hmm.
help you. We shouldn't feel like people won't share because I have not met anybody who's not willing to share some information. I just haven't met many people who aren't willing to share. So take a chance.
Let's play that back again. What you need to do is tell. All the
Yes.
time, I was like, I had no clue. You know how many jobs just people just send me, and you didn't tell me that you lost your job, and now I know.
Yeah.
So, and send me your resume, right? Simone, I mean, I'm just like, I'm sitting in HR. People just send me everything, and I work a lot of clients, but now that I know, and like you said, most people that I always say that they be like, hey, I wouldn't mind helping you, but you got to open
Yeah.
your mouth. Closed
So
mouths do
that's
not get
important.
fed. I always say
Yeah,
that.
that's important to talk about in this middle where
And
people are
mhm,
wearing some shame, some guilt,
mhm,
some embarrassment.
mhm.
Take that off and put it on the shelf. Right now
Yeah.
is not the time to be
Yeah.
Mm-mm,
shameful. Now
mm-mm.
is not the time to be embarrassed. Now is not the time to talk about, I lost my job. We know that that's trying to lose your job, particularly
Yes,
for people who've been employed 20, 30 years
yes,
and been
yes.
successful. It is not the time to wear shame. Shame is an emotion that
Mm-hmm,
will be an obstacle for you to be successful in the
mm-hmm,
future. Take shame off and put it down. Shame is really dreadful
mm-hmm,
for you to have because it's going to block your ability to go out and talk to people. If you lost your job for whatever reason, whether you lost it through your fault or through some other reason, it
mm-hmm,
really doesn't matter. You need to be employed, and wearing shame is not going to help.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, turn that shame into look at my skill set. Because
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
come with this expertise. Boop. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. I want to
Uh-huh.
piggyback off of y'all because,
Okay.
we've been talking about um, kind of looking at organizations and working, see if we can work with a nonprofit, getting involved in our community.
Mhm.
And a thing I'm seeing now as I'm growing my coaching business and talking to some other people, because sometimes, like Dr. Joy, you're seeing a lot of jobs, but there's a lot of candidates, right?
Mhm.
And I've seen people be like, you know what? I have skills. There's a need out here. Why don't I just start my little side hustle, right? We kind of talked about this last time. Remember, I mentioned that the bubble, the young guy, the
Yep.
bubble developer that could not find a job and then started his own little business and
Mm-hmm.
was getting clients. Like, I absolutely love that. And I was talking to a colleague, and she is a certified like life coach,
Mm-hmm.
and she'd been feeling a little down and stuff. And I was like, launch your business,
Yeah.
just get on LinkedIn and put your services on your
Yep.
page, get it going, do your Facebook announcement to
Mm-hmm.
your community
Community.
and just start it. And it's like people have all these great skills and sometimes you have to make your own way. If you
Mm-hmm.
cannot find a way with another organization, you have to make your own way. And I'm seeing a lot of that and I love that. I mean, keep growing my business. And it's like offer the services to folks.
Mm-hmm.
People need services, businesses need services,
Yep.
and you have the skill set. But now that's going to require a lot of work. It's
It-
not easy, a lot more work, a lot of marketing and putting yourself out there and
mhm.
being vulnerable and things like that. But I mean, I love the younger generation. They just do it. They're just like, I'm gonna start on TikTok. I'm gonna put it on YouTube. I'm gonna
Yep.
do this and I'm gonna do that. And they're just not afraid at all to put themselves out there and start something. If it fails, it fails. Like
Mhm.
you learn, you keep on
I
pushing
love
forward.
that.
But
So
I
we
really
go.
think,
I love that.
yeah,
We're gonna talk about that because I've been my next talk that I'm doing with some young people, and I put in here, I need people on this and this, as we want to be intentional, but to do it scared, do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I think that's what we get from the young people. Like, we have now seen before, it's like when we were growing up, we didn't have necessarily social media, but we definitely didn't have this word called influencers, right? Because this
Right.
influencers is a new
Yeah.
thing. And how
Yeah.
we influence it, we just hit the play button on that phone, and we are just talking about, and you influence about your day-to-day life. But what we learned in that is, again, they became influencers just by telling a story. And think about, we're
Hmm.
talking to people who have expertise, who have skill set. And so we need you to what? Take the leap, to do it
Mhm.
anyway, to take the
Yep.
chance. So I love that how you encourage your
Yes.
client, you a life coach, offer your services,
Right.
offer your
And it's
services.
organic.
It's
It's
organic.
organic.
And we want it to be real. And we, not to say real, we want it to be perfect. Just hit the play button, because people want authentic. They want realness,
Yeah,
right? We
authenticity.
have
Yep.
seen all the stars just go on, and they be in their house just doing stuff, just what I'm doing. And they have just built their followers. And so I think for us, when we're trying to get out there and just reinventing ourselves, or just in between time, like, you may have a business inside of you. This is the time now to launch it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Like,
And I
do
think
it
it's also
anyway.
partnering. And I also think Dr. Joy
Yes,
is
Yes.
partner. We talked about
Partner.
networking, but let's talk about partnering.
Yep.
yes.
Partnering is great. Like, I'm a certified life coach. I rarely do it because I don't have the time to do it. But I'm working with two people who are life coaches. And if I
Mhm.
decide to turn that spigot on, I come over and I say, hey, maybe you have 10 clients, but you can't handle 10 clients. Or maybe you have
Mhm.
clients that you help in a certain area, and then I help maybe blue card clients that need
Yep.
life skills. And that may be a different expertise, or
Mhm.
maybe IT folks. Or let's say you have experience with helping people set up small businesses, and you know how to create websites for small businesses. You can put together your own little package, get together your pricing schedule, send it out there, look at the price points, make sure you know $100 cheaper than everybody else, and voila, you'll get clients that'll come to you. So
Yes.
it's the networking that you also have to do, and the collaborating with other professionals, because when you see people who are doing similar type of work with you, if everybody is doing some work, it's enough work for everybody
It
to
It
do.
is.
It
is.
really is. It's
It
enough
is.
work. It's
Mhm.
It
enough
can
work.
it can intimidate you, like, oh, what they're doing and they're doing it and they're doing. No, you can do it too.
Right.
Like, there's enough food for us to eat, and we can
Yes.
all support each other, and everybody's doing something a little bit different, and your clients are going to want what you offer.
Mhm.
Right.
And Dr. Joy's clients want what she offers, right? And my clients want what I offer. And
Right.
I love that you mentioned partnering with other professionals, because, we're doing this now and partnering with each other and getting information out. I partner with some other career coaches, and like, some of them don't like doing resumes. And I love
Right.
doing a good
Right.
resume. So they're just like, Simone, I need you. Like, can you do this resume for my client? I'm like, absolutely. Then, like, you did great. Can you actually do my resume? I'm like,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so opportunities come from these things. And yeah, and Dr. Joy and Samisha, I think one of y'all said authenticity. And
Authenticity.
I don't know
Yeah.
if this actually goes into it, but it just makes me think, being a genuine person and being who you are.
Yep.
I
Right.
know that's not like a big strategy, but like, people love that. Like, I will be drawn to see this is the real person. You're not showboating for somebody, and you're just
Hmm.
being yourself. And if you're a good person, that really speaks to your character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
And the
think
other
that's
thing I try
important
to
too.
tell people, oh, sorry, Dr. Joy. The other thing I try to tell people is I give people my business card all the time. I give my
Mm.
business card, my phone number, and I say, call me. And
Yeah.
someone will be like, well, they'll text you and say, how are you doing today? How's everything going? And then they disappear. And then they come back and they're like, how's your day going? They disappear. And I will normally text them and say, what you want? What you want? And I do that because a lot of people are intimidated, like, oh, I don't want to just call you because I need something. But I gave you my card and said, if you
Yeah.
need something, call me.
Mhm.
And then
Absolutely.
you have a lot of people that they're afraid to ask, like, do you have a job? Do you know somebody that can help me? And I'm like, ask the question. When I was growing up, my dad was a very direct person, and he said, all you gotta do is ask. And only thing they can do to you is either tell you no or kill you. But if they kill you, then you're dead. Well, oh well. But he used to always just say, it's not that dire.
Right.
Yeah.
Just ask the question. be willing to take no. But I
Mhm.
think we had a student on when we did a session. Remember, she talked about rejection therapy.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Yes, you did.
let me tell you something. I went down a rabbit hole of research because I was really interested. And really, you find more people that are willing to say yes than say no. You
Mhm.
think people are going to say no because there's fear, but most people will tell you yes.
Mhm.
And so just ask. I
Yeah.
don't know many people who want to intentionally not help someone. They may be
Correct.
busy, they may tell you later, but also help do the work. I was working with some young people and they needed recommendation letters. And
Mhm.
I told them, write your own recommendation letter. Write your complete recommendation letter. Give them what we call a brag sheet. Give
Right.
the person that you want to write your letter a brag
Mhm.
sheet. All the things that are great about you, then write your own letter. When you ask them to write your letter, you've done all the work for them. They can edit or tailor it, but you've
Yep.
done most of the work.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
the same thing with networking and partnering. When
Mhm.
you go to someone, if you have tactical things that you need, help them help you. That's definitely a tactic to make it easy. Somebody give you their resume and it's in a table. I hate a table resume. You know, put this in a table, and I'm trying to edit. And I'm like, who put this in the back of the? Y'all got those resumes on the
Right.
table. You like, I can help you, but God got to spend time fixing your resume just to format.
Right.
But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Just give
Mhm.
somebody a plain. Here's my bullet list of things that I've done. Let's talk about how you just have to help people help
Mhm.
you, and people
Mhm.
who really want to help will lean in
They will
to be
help
able
you.
to support.
And I think that's important thing is like you said, I love the partnering because to me, collaboration is key. Because just think about it. I don't
Mhm.
know if people know literally how contracts work, right? Because I've sat on a couple of contract review boards, and I'm probably sure Shimon and Shamika, you can
Right?
attest to this. It's always you got your contract, but then you got your whole team. And it's the team that, right? When you get
Exactly.
these contracts, it's the team or who you gonna pull together. So to me, if you get a contract,
Right?
who on your team? Do you have your people? Probably not. But do you know people who can
Exactly.
pull your team together to get to prepare for this
Exactly.
contract? And so
Get your
that's the key about
experts.
the networking. And it is room for all of us, but also it's important to know your ask. So I love that have be intentional. I love the brag sheet, but I also think have an ask. Like you said, in elevator pitches, what is the ask? Is the ask, I'm going to
Yes.
follow up with you. Do you have times that we can sit down? Can we do a coffee chat? Can we do information or interview? What is your ask? I wouldn't be where I am if I had to say, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? I would love to find out more about you. So I was that one in school raising her hand, was very inquisitive, asked questions, wanted to be in the room, took up stuff like a sponge. But that was me. But I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have those skill sets, you know, and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
think that's all
Yeah.
great, strategies to be. And just like you said,
People
just do
should
it,
be
y'all.
intentional about broadening themselves.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think that's really, and if you're in the middle, be intentional about
Mm-hmm.
broadening yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go learn things that are adjacent to what you learn. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you do finance, but you need to go learn accounting. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, you've done HR, but maybe now you need to go do resource planning, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you've done HR in a typical organization, but go figure out resourcing in a hospital or in
Mm-hmm.
a law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different, but be intentional about just being inquisitive. Like, you learn so much when you, like, I was that one too, sitting in somebody's office and like, how you get here? I would
Right.
just sit there, whatever you want to tell me, I'm willing to listen.
Mhm,
I taught myself HR before I ever did it, because I was like, okay, so you here and you did this. But I
mhm,
really do believe that if you spend a little time, as I tell a lot of young people, it's never a bad time to invest in yourself. And
mm-mm,
that doesn't mean you got to pay for something. That means you got to just broaden your mind,
mhm,
ask conversations,
mhm,
listen to TED Talks. TED Talks are
mhm.
amazing ways
Oh,
to
they are.
learn something that you never learned before. So if you
Mhm,
have not listened to a TED Talk, you can pick all kinds of genres. You can pick
mhm.
science or health or AI, and then you will just discover a world of information that you never ever thought about before.
Yeah, and I know Simone is a good audible reader. She reads and
Oh,
stuff like that. So,
I listen.
cause she listens. But again, back in the day, we didn't have this. So we can see how technology is
Yep,
advanced. So if you don't have to let the stuff read to you, put it on your phone.
yep,
Every
Yeah,
morning,
get it
set
on your
that
phone,
time to
walk the
put
dog.
something else into your ear. And I always say my best friend, this before AI, Google and YouTube. Come on with it. How
Yes.
yes,
do I?
hmm,
There's a video for everything, right? And so then now we
yes,
have our AI tools, which I love the idea. I'm trying to brainstorm a topic on this. How do I do this? And so now it's everything's in the palm of our hands. It's in everything. It's in your phones. It's in all the apps. And as that is advancing, but you can learn basic stuff that will help you. And this is how you always say, Simone's word, upskilling and reskilling. I
Mm-hmm.
learned me a new skill.
Yeah. You
You
know
know.
what I also thought too was interesting?
Uh-huh.
In this Washington, D.C. area, we have a lot of conferences. A
Oh,
lot of people
yes.
come to hold their national conferences here. Go to different conferences that
Mhm.
may be of interest to you and volunteer at a conference.
Oh,
You
say it
Mm.
again.
volunteer at a conference, you will get to listen to the sessions. And if you're
Mhm.
just taking names or maybe you're a person who is managing one of the breakout sessions. You
Mhm.
just manage the room, but you can go to a free conference that way. And anything you think of, or even some of the organizations like an Oracle or a Workday or SAP, they have conferences that all you got to do is sign up and go.
Mhm.
They don't even have a requirement sometimes. So if you live in an area where there are conferences, look up conferences, look on Eventbrite,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, different things in your industry. Look up their conferences and attend. If you volunteer the conferences, you can go for free. Sometimes it's just a day-long conference and it's free anyway. Go network, go see what people are
Mhm.
talking about. There's some ways to get busy and
Eh,
find things to do.
Thank you. Because again, in this in between time, you shouldn't be idle. We
Right?
should be idle every day that you're not working. If you're not working, but every day you're doing something to prepare you and to get you into your next. And we've
Mm-hmm.
given a lot of strategies to do things. And like I said, it's
We
sometimes
have.
it's the power of our phone. The
Mm-hmm.
internet
It's the
never shuts down.
opportunities. The
It's open 24
opportunities are
hours a
there.
day.
It is. It is.
Any other lasting
Simone,
thoughts? Mhm.
well, I was going to ask Simone. Simone, you talked about helping people kind of be comfortable where they are, kind of in the middle. What about strategies for people who don't see themselves at a high enough level? I've encountered some clients who they're really undercutting themselves. They see a job and they look at it and they say, well, I don't know if I can do that. We've all had those clients. It's like, oh
Mhm.
no, I don't have those skills. What about also some strategies for people who need to review their resume and see themselves in another job, right?
Yes.
I can see myself in a job. I mean, because I've written position descriptions, I've hired for jobs, I've done all that. So I can look at someone's resume and say, okay, so here's some skills and here's how they're transferable in a different industry. Or what about that as well? Because I think people get kind of stuck,
Yeah.
particularly if you're coming from the federal government, where sometimes we are myopically focused on that one occupational series or that one job or that one grade. And in private sector, sometimes they have more cross matrix jobs, so they have more generalized wording, and someone has trouble seeing and stuff. What is some I guess strategy we could give someone to see themselves in a position where it may not be apples to apples, but you still can identify, take your skills, identify them, and do a comparison and contrast to help you, feel like that is the job you could see yourself in.
Yeah. I've had so many resume clients that they're, like you said, they come in, if they've been laid off and they're just kind of distraught. And then we go over, hey, what have you done? What are your biggest accomplishments? What are you most proud of? Pull your reviews, your PMAPs, your performance documents. And then they start talking and they remember, they're like, oh, I've done so much. I think, we talked about this before. Yeah, we keep talking about update your resume. No, but really sit down
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
think about the major projects that you've done. Have you run any working groups, focus groups? Have
Mhm.
you done any strategic plan projects? What have you done outside of your scope of work, right? Or what do you do great inside the scope of your work? And I think that helps us remember, oh yeah, we have a great fulfilling career and we're going to
Mhm.
continue to have a great fulfilling career. And then for my clients, I tell them it's like we have to stop looking at position titles really when
Mhm.
you're job searching because they're misleading, right? Like especially human resources ones, there's like the what is or chief of staff, they can be so very different.
What
And
is a
so it's
business
like,
partner? What is that?
yes.
Right.
And it's so I'm just like, okay, now you've gone through, exactly, you're feeling better about yourself. You remember what great work you have done. You remember the skills that you have. Now kind of do a search. I'm like, do a search for for the skills and
Mhm.
the things you'd like to do, the
Yeah.
roles and responsibilities, and not the title because
Mhm,
we can get
mhm.
stuck on a title because people, well, I want to make this certain amount of money. I get that. You don't have, it doesn't have to say director to get the title, to get
Mhm.
the money that you need and the fulfilling work that you need. So I
Mhm.
think folks need to focus on what's the actual work that I would like
Right.
to
Yeah.
do. Um, but a lot of people are just feeling down.
Right.
And I think a good revamp or refresh, go over your old stuff, remember what you have done. Um, that's kind of worked for like some of my clients because they come out of this, they're like, oh, I thank you. I feel better now
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
remember all the things that I have done.
Yeah.
Um,
Because old
and
school
Simone,
resumes used to be a task list, just a
yeah,
task of what you
yeah,
did. And now we need to help people understand you pivot to an accomplishment
right.
list.
And I was
You
going
yes,
to
can
speak
say a
on
little
that.
blurb of what you're doing, but then what have you done? What have you done that you can kind of stick it to? And then that someone can see the magnitude of your
yeah,
skills, the scope and complexity of your
yeah,
skills and how you've applied them. And so I think that's great tips. If you're in the middle and you're looking for ways to reinvent yourself and map to outside of government, your resume should not be a task list. It shouldn't look, if your resume looks like a position description, you're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It
So
should
let me,
really be something else. Yep.
yeah. So I'll say, let me speak on that because someone who started in the federal government who used to do federal HR, I was the one who looked at the resumes when you were trying to do your job announcement on USA Jobs. So looked at resume for a long time at OPM. And so
Yeah.
one of the things is in looking for your resume, because now everything has to be skill based. So when I'm working with
Right.
clients on their resumes, we do the same thing that Simone says. Talk to me about what did you do? But to me, it's not even what did you, but it's your accomplishments. Because in 2 pages, first of all, it's reading. The average employer is looking at your resume in 8 seconds. So they're not going to read it long. So it's got to be eye appealing, no paragraphs, really short. But again, it needs to be impactful accomplishments because when I look at your resume, I need to know again, I know what I'm hiring for. And based on your background, how is this aligned to my position? So when we talk about those transferable skills, like you said, did you lead a project? Did you facilitate work groups? Did you serve as a project manager? Did you implement something? Did you streamline something? Did you lead something? All of those things to me impact. Did you
Mhm.
participate in a strategic planning session? So all of that is important because that talks about your skill sets and the value that you're bringing into an organization. Because in two
Right.
pages, I can't, like you said, it can't be tasks because your tasks are just duties. And I don't know
Mhm.
about you, but I'm doing way much more than on that generic PD that I was first hired to do. That's all
yes,
Right.
those assigned duties is all the things that we're doing. And so it's your impactful statements. But I love it how you have to talk about what did you do. And I always
Mhm.
talk to, and I love when Simone had talked about don't get just stuck on the titles because all the titles coming from government to private sector look very different and they
They
all
do.
mean something. So I started talking to my
Mhm.
clients about we do targeted searching. Like what are
Yeah.
your keywords? If you want budget, if you want finance, just what are your keywords? If you want programs, so that's how we kind of do job searches. So I think you have to be
Mhm.
very intentional about even what that job search looks like because the titles are not going to be one for one. They're just not.
Yeah. And what motivates you too,
Right.
because I know
yes,
that I'm motivated through work that I can change an organization.
Yes.
That's what I love to do.
Yeah.
I, for years, spent time in government going to fix agencies who were broken. That was what I was known to do. Your system don't work, your policies not. I fix broken agencies. I just love to do that. And so now I go in as a problem solver. That
yeah,
Mhm.
is the reason why I like to support an organization. If
Mhm.
it's working well, that's great. But when there are problems to solve, I'm very solution oriented, and that's
Mhm.
what makes. If someone loves to be able to maintain things that are great, but if you like to build something from
Mhm.
nothing, you should also know what your motivators are for going
Mhm.
into a work environment.
Yes.
And there are some people who work for just money. And if money is your motivator, there is nothing wrong with money being your motivator. But
Mhm.
oftentimes, if you can find something else that motivates you, if you want to see the success of your colleagues, if you want to see the success of children, if you want to make sure that you can impact your community, find what your motivators are, because that
yeah.
also would then help you lead on the path of where you go look for a position or something to do.
Yes, I love
I
that.
love
I
that.
love
I
that.
love that.
I know. Any other last? Oh, this was a great conversation. Do you have
Yes,
any
yes, it
other?
was.
strategies and tips for those in between or in the middle trying to navigate?
Yeah. Keep going.
Keep
Oh,
going.
keep
Keep
going.
going.
Small wins,
Small wins.
celebrate those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Don't
we
have
just need
everything
to
doesn't
do
have to
it
be
anyway.
big.
Mhm.
Yeah. And do it anyway.
Do it
Dr. Joy,
anyway.
we should end that together. Do it anyway.
Just do it. Well, we thank you for joining us in another dynamic conversation with Table Talk, and we look forward to you joining us again. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
Bye, everyone.